Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Just recently I passed 20,000 miles with my Model 3 Tesla. I still remember when I first picked up this car back on Halloween day on October 2021. If you're curious, you could also check out the video here when I picked up the car, and I also did a video on my first 1,000 miles. Over 20,000 miles, I'm going to talk about the good and then also the bad. The first good thing is the gas savings. Without being said, that's obviously one of the biggest reasons why people switch over to a Tesla. You actually do save tremendous amount of money from buying gas. When I was charging at home, it was about $2 to $3 per day. If I use the level 2 charger on the street, let's say I go to a third party, it costs me about $6 to $10 for full charge. Depending on how busy it is at a supercharger, it'll cost me maybe $20 to $30, which is still half of whatever full tank might be. For example, with my BMW, that would have been twice the cost. At 20,000 miles, assuming I still had my BMW 4 Series, which takes about 15 gallons, giving me an average of 30 miles per gallon. I did an estimate to see how much savings I've had. Obviously, it will be very much impossible to track every single penny, but for the most part, I'm sure it falls in this ballpark. That may not sound a lot for something like a year or a year and a half, but if you add that over the cost of you having your car, say usually a 6-year or 7-year finance, that definitely would add up to about 10 to 14,000. And I did not even mention the oil change savings. With my BMW, I was paying about $200 every 5,000 miles. So that means I would have changed my oil about 4 times, costing me $800. So if we do the total savings, I am more than happy I made the change to the Tesla. The next good thing is I no longer have range anxiety. I've had less than 5% charge multiple times. As long as you always put your destination on the Tesla maps, you'll be good. You'll know how much energy you'll consume from start to end. Also, it's super convenient to find a charging station along your stop. You could always put your destination and then click on the charger button, and you could see for yourself where the chargers will be, and then you can make a stop if you need to. The next good thing is there are far more superchargers open now. Convenience of charging is literally there. When I first got the car in 2021, they still had a decent amount, but now it's nearly everywhere. The next good thing that I really liked is I went with the white seats, and surprisingly, I was able to keep it really clean. Obviously, if you have a dog or you have kids, this might be a different story, but I've also seen videos of other people with dogs and kids, and the vegan leather was still easy to clean on the white seats. Also, I thought the minimal design was not gonna be for me, especially that I love buttons. I do love the minimal design, and I've adopted this in my other places in my life, such as my room and also my keys and what goes in my pocket. I've just been more minimal with it. So if you were to ask me, would I still go with the white interior? 100% yes, I will. The next biggest thing for me, which is another reason why I really love this car, is actually how it drives. Regen does take some time to get used to, but for me, for some reason, I learned it in literally a day. Essentially, if you're wondering what Regen is, it allows you to drive your car with essentially one pedal. When you take your foot off the pedal, the car begins to slow down, and then when you obviously press, it's gonna accelerate. Now, keep in mind that obviously in case of emergency, you actually do want to hit your brake, but it's very rare if you know how to time the Regen. It's not annoying as if like as soon as you take it off, the car would just stop. It actually does a gradual slow, and if you know how to time it well, you probably would never have to use your brake pedal. On top of the driving experience, I don't know any car that responds so fast when you hit the accelerator button. I don't think I could ever go back to a car that doesn't accelerate so fast. Also, there is the self-driving. Self-driving is there. The fact that they gave this for free is still remarkable and surprising. Tesla could easily charge us for this. Tesla gave the basic package, and funny enough, the basic package is more than enough. If sure, you want to change lanes, you want to turn your car and maybe not put your hand on the wheel, then sure, you could pay the extra $12,000, but for me, this is more than enough. Later on in the cons of having the Tesla over the years, I do talk about why I have not also upgraded to the self-driving. The next good thing is really the dash cam and surveillance. I don't know any car again that has something so great like this. Essentially, the Tesla is a surveillance camera. When you need it for driving, when you're backing up, all that is clear. And also for surveillance, if anyone is next to your car or you need to actually peek into your car from your phone or check your surroundings through your phone, It's all available, and there's a USB that's recording all the footage. And when you're driving, you get in an accident, or you almost got in an accident, or somebody did something crazy, you can easily save the footage with a click of a button. The next big thing is the perks and discounts for having a EV. So I guess this isn't really specific to Tesla, but I love it. In some cities and malls and other areas, you get preferred parking. It's kind of like having disability parking. You know, it's always essentially going to be there. Well, it's kind of like that for EVs. Obviously, the more EVs pop out, this would become a diminishing return. But until then, it's still there and available. For me, it's a huge time saver has been the carpool. Having an EV has allowed me to easily access the carpool lane and has saved me tremendous amount of time had I not taken the carpool. Next, I love the fact that the car really has no key. If you really need a key, you could order one. I don't see why you'll do this. Going back with the minimal design, I love the fact of having just a phone, and I do have a magic wallet where I put my card in, and it's great in case my phone ever died or somehow the phone in the car is not connecting. Depending on who you are, this next good thing could be good or bad, but the car is a computer, so that means it does have software updates, and you are advised to update. You want to make sure you're on top of every safety and all the new techs and gadgets and everything available to the car, so updating your car is going to be very necessary, and it's been great. With each software update, the car really does get better. Next is the safety. I've seen many Tesla crash videos where people have gotten in accidents with Teslas and they really came out fine. Next is the Tesla app. Most car companies that have cars that connect with apps, you know, it's very basic. Open the car, slam the car, whatever you need to do. But with the Tesla, it actually adds value. There are more things you could do, such as look at the surveillance camera from your surrounding. You could even precondition the car, look at your safety score, anything you need, anything, even paperwork, finance, whatever it is. Lastly, depending on how you are, if you're an introvert, you may not like this, but people will just have chats with you. They are just curious to know what it's like to own a Tesla. This is a very attractive car for the person who has never been in it. Some people would ask if they could go in. Obviously, I have never let anyone do it, but I've allowed them to see it from a distance, and they'll just chat up what it's like and whatever it is. So it's cool enough because, you know, people would always stare at you, but I guess the more of these come on the street, nobody's gonna care anymore. Another really good thing is I do have the LFP battery, which means I could charge to 100% every day without messing up the battery, versus if you had an NCA, you have to really be around 80%. So I'm glad that I could go on a full 100% anytime I want. Now let's talk about the bad. I really don't like how internet speeds for the Tesla is pretty bad. They make you pay $9.99 a month for this. It is optional, but I don't see how someone would not pay for this. It's just needed. You're really not going to enjoy the car whatsoever. Two, which is one of my biggest cons, is I lost range in the first month. In fact, in the first week, I lost range. My car was supposed to get me around 253 miles, and I have never seen that after the first charge. I never saw 253 again. Now it maxes me about 250. If my car is mad at me, probably 248. So I actually did lose a nice chunk, but it's not too much, but it sucks to know that I don't have the full charge. Next, I know I might rub people the wrong way on this next one, but I actually don't consider the Model 3 or even Teslas in general luxury cars. And my biggest reason is because of how they carry themselves. I know I have their car, contradicting myself there, but I really don't feel the company as a whole could be taken serious. They do a lot of price changes that essentially don't make sense. I know that companies need to make money, but they're very drastic. Considering how big they are, there are certain things that could be done better. Their customer service to me really sucks. You could go to a Tesla shop and hope that you get someone good. Maybe if I was to give some kind of credit, maybe the Model X and S are more luxurious. I have been in those cars and you could say so, but they still come with panel defects. Which leads me to my next point why I think Tesla is not a luxury car. It's because you have to really do your own QC inspection. QC for quality control, right? So that means when you buy the car, you have to actually look around for panel gaps, for anything that might be wrong, missing pieces. I mean, back in 2021, 2022, they were shipping these cars with missing pieces and telling people essentially I owe you, like I owe you a piece. And I think this is just very immature of a company. And let me not even mention if you need something to get fixed. If you take it to the service center, they would rigorously ask you so many questions, essentially like they don't want to fix it. And to make matters worse, they have a threshold on what they're going to fix. If it falls below that threshold, then it doesn't matter. When I first picked up my car within the same week, I actually complained about some things and they only fixed bigger things, like my windshield was actually like not placed properly, and then some things on my panel panel got readjusted, but there are other things that were still there, and unfortunately it did not fall under the threshold. But over those 20,000 miles, unfortunately I am still rocking with those imperfections. Next, I never really thought I'd be a culprit of this, but if you do have this car, the rims kind of poke out, so if you have to be really very careful around curves. That's why you look at almost 99% of all Tesla owners, their rims are scratched up. It's because it kind of pokes out. Touching on the autopilot earlier, I mentioned I will tell you guys why I would not upgrade. The biggest reason why I would not upgrade is because it does not follow the person's profile. It follows the car. Considering my car is a lease, or even if I bought it, it wouldn't matter because once I paid for that, it stays with the car. So whichever the next owner is, it's really the one who's going to benefit because it comes free for them. I would have preferred if this follows my profile, as they do actually have profiles now with the Tesla. So if they were to move this to a profile version, then sure, it's something I could consider, and anytime I have another car, it just transfers over. But till then, I am not upgrading. Next is there are a lot of software issues and glitches. I have had about 5 times I needed to hard reset my car. I would continuously tap on the screen and it would just freeze, especially when it's hot. It just sucks. No kidding. I think this is somebody's worst nightmare when driving and everything just shuts off. The good news is the car is still drivable and it's not gonna freak out at high speeds. I can confirm that. It's shut off on me a couple of times. Nothing crazy has happened. The steering wheel did not lock at high speeds, or the car didn't just stop out of nowhere. It still moves and functions, so I thank God for that. But for somebody who experiences for the first time, they will definitely freak out. Next thing is everything is so expensive. Car wash, car mods, Tesla accessories. When you go to stores, everyone sees your cars and all of a sudden they feel like they could charge you a high price because you could afford a high expensive item. Funny enough, when I first had this car, Tesla's wasn't too expensive. It was almost basic. It was around like 40K if you really think about it. So that's not really too expensive. Next, 20,000 miles later, I am starting to hear a few sounds come from my wheel. I don't know what it is. I'm sure if I took it in, they're gonna be like, there's nothing wrong. So I'm just waiting for the symptom of this sound to get worse for me to take it in. Next is the DMV registration cost. Without a doubt, if you live in California, you're gonna pay out the roof with this. I pay over $600, which if you think about it, it eliminates some of the benefits of having a Tesla. Yes, you could have gas savings. Yes, you could be saving from oil change, but you really come right back up with those expenses when you're paying things like $600 to $700 on DMV registration. And my last registration, I mistakenly missed the deadline by a day, and I paid over $100 extra. So that really sucks, but make sure you pay your DMV registration on time. Another reason why I don't consider this a luxury car, coming from a BMW, there is no interior lighting, especially when you have the basic Model 3. It's just your steering wheel lights and a big old iPad in the middle. So what's my verdict after 20,000 miles? Do I wish I still got the car? I'll be honest, yes and no. I think Teslas are all hype. I got lucky when I made the transition. I kind of saw gas prices being an issue and I wanted to take advantage of switching to a car. So before the price hikes happened and also before shortages, I made the decision and I got lucky on that. I do think the car is still fun to drive. There are actually times when I just want to get in the car for no reason and just drive. One of my biggest regrets is leasing it, but at the same time, I'm not regretful of this because I know there are going to be better EVs and I know myself, I like to change cars maybe every 3 to 4 years, so it makes sense for me to lease. I will say this though, if BMW catches up on their EV cars and fix their interior, I kind of do like the new interior on the new series, but the Tesla still wins on this. But if BMW could pick up their weight, I will definitely make the switch. Until then, I'm probably actually considering the Model Y. So I'll probably get rid of my Model 3 and switch over to a Y and take advantage of the new tax credits and also the reduced pricing. Let me know in the description below if you have a Tesla, how are you enjoying it? What are your own pros and cons? And if you're thinking of getting one, what's holding you back? What are your questions? How can I assist? And with that being said, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.